welcome back, buddy.
Thanks, man. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. As you can tell, I'm back in Denver.
Yes, I recognize the plant in the background. You don't have that in Kansas City.
The plant, yeah, nothing's alive there.
You
That's
should bring
actually...
that. It'd be like the two ferns thing. You can bring that plant like in wherever you are. It's like, even if you have to do it from a coffee shop, it's like, there's the plant right next to you.
Right, yeah, between two ferns, like Zach
Exactly.
Galifianakis. Yeah.
I love that show. That's hilarious.
I know. And I like what you got going on in the background. Is that a bass back there?
That is the Hofner, Paul McCartney bass. Of course, I'm a big Beatles fan.
Yeah.
I have to have, if I'm going to buy a bass, you got to buy one that looks cool, like a violin bass. So that's what I did.
Tom and D.
Two middle-aged idiots. Speaking of cool things, though, I wanted to tell you that my class at Indiana, I'm going to call it the Art of the Voiceover. And I wrote my overview for the dean, and I wrote my 16-week outline for the dean, and I'm waiting to hear back before we write the syllabus. But I actually thought I might bring the dean on as a guest because he's a cool dude. He, went to IU, both undergrad, master's, and doctorate, and he's, the associate dean for the media school, and he does a podcast for Indiana sports, and he's a musician, and I just thought he'd be a cool guest. So, one of these days It's going to be a surprise, and all of a sudden my boss will be on the other side of the screen.
Wait, one of these days? So you're not teeing him up right now? That's not your guest?
No. Was I supposed to have a guest?
I thought, no, I'm just kidding. I've got the guest. I'm going to go right into it because this guy's not going to wait too long. You will immediately recognize this guy's face once we bring him on. He has been in so many movies, so many TV shows, from ER to Bosch to you name it.
Bosch, that's like one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
I'm excited now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did at least one movie with him, directed by our mutual friend, Bob Clark.
Yeah.
It was called I'll Remember April. And I feel like we did at least one or two others, but he was also in a documentary that I did about Bob.
You did the Bob Clark. Well, bring him on. I'm excited.
I'm going to bring him on. Troy Evans, welcome to the show.
No way.
Oh, me?
It's Beryl. Dude, you are my favorite character on that show. Seriously.
Mine too.
I got to tell you one thing. When they did the relaunch, the Ballard show, I'm watching it and it's a great show, but I missed the gang, and all of a sudden you and Crate show up and I'm like, yes, they're back. The gang is back together, man. It's so great to see you.
But that's the farewell. That one scene, that's it.
That's it? No more? They're not going to bring you back at all?
No.
Well, then I got to stop watching it. Sorry.
It's the producers at Amazon. They don't like having the old guys on the show. That's why. And the to me, the sad thing about that is it's based on the LAPD cold case unit.
Right.
And there's this wonderful woman named Mitzi Roberts, who's a longtime LAPD homicide detective. And she was an advisor on Bosch, and she ran the cold case unit. And the interesting thing about the cold case unit is that she was the only employee. Everybody else was a retired detective volunteering to work on the one that got away.
Wow.
So they'd been talking to us for 2 or 3 years about, we got the Ballard thing going, and because Ballard is Mitzi, that's the, and so Greg and I had been rolling along, getting ready for, we've been, third banana on that show for a long, long time, and very happy with that.
Sure.
But now they're doing a version where we'll get even more police work, and then they just broomed us.
Oh, I am sorry to hear that. That would have been. So is Tyrus going to show up in any more episodes, or are they getting rid of all of the old?
A little. No, he'll be around a little bit.
Because he's a producer, isn't he? The executive producer.
I don't know, but that's Let me tell you something. I was on the early in my career. I was pretty green, and there was some guy there, and he introduced himself, and I asked him what he did, and he said, I'm a producer." I said, "And what does that mean exactly?"
Right.
He said, "Well, in my case, it means sometimes they'll let me come on the set." That, I mean, that's a look at the list of producers on shows.
Yeah.
Look at IMDb and and that's just you know it's a participation trophy. Okay, you
Right.
can be a producer.
Every squirrel in North Hollywood Park has probably had a producer credit somewhere in his life.
Yeah, which is not a slam at those people. But
No.
it's done in lieu of
No.
the almighty dollar. We can't really afford to pay you more. We can
Yeah.
give you a producer credit.
Right. In all fairness to a lot of producers, there are producers that actually work, and it's
Yeah.
a verb to them, where there's
Yes.
an action instead of just the title.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he's just
Yeah.
involved because it was a spinoff of his show, and they probably said, "We'll give you a producer credit. You can show up in some episodes, and your name will be mentioned several
Yeah.
times." Things like that. But
But
that was a bummer, though, to what you just told me, because I was hoping I know there's going to be another season of Valor, and I was thinking, oh, good, well, we'll get the crew back, and of course, Tyrus's assistant, that black dude who's his
Jamie
he's
Hector.
great.
Who, if I had to pick a group of the 5 best actors I've ever worked with, he would definitely be in that group, maybe at the top of that group.
No kidding.
I'll tell you just one little detail about that, and I've said this on the set of Bosch many times. Nobody listens like Jamie Hector listens, and if you're just at craft service and you strike up a conversation with him about the donuts, and he locks onto you, and he's actively listening and thinking about everything you say about the fucking donuts, and the same thing in the scene. You see him, and wonderful, nice guy and talented. And, they were supposed to do a spin-off with him too that they canceled. They were supposed to do a spin-off. Oh,
you're a popular
give
guy.
me just 1 second. My wife's in Italy, and I have to tell
Yeah.
her.
We get to be a fly in the wall.
Heather, I'm doing a podcast, so I love you, but and it's close to your bedtime, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll talk tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Aw,
How is Heather?
that's cute. That was actually really cute.
Let me tell you now. Did you meet Heather when you were on a Bob's movie here at the house?
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling Tom just before you came on that I remember, I believe it was Heather's workshop or blacksmith shop that was in the teepee that's in your yard.
And you know who made that teepee?
Who?
That weird old actor that lives here.
You made
I made that teepee, and I've made about somewhere between, let's say, around 75 teepees over the past 30, 40 years.
So, like, your friends see your teepee and they say, "Can you get one for me?"
I gave them to a lot of friends in Montana. I sold a bunch here in LA. I just got on this. She needed a shop. It's a historic house, and so we needed the shop that we couldn't put up a structure for it. And what's more temporary than a teepee? So we put her blacksmith shop.
Right, little nomad.
And having said that, not only is my lovely wife a blacksmith, but the reason she's in Italy is she's in Stia, where she and 4 other women, also blacksmiths, are hand forging a memorial sculpture gate in the local park.
No kidding. Wow.
Now, isn't that fantastic?
So fantastic. And her work, Tom, I vaguely remember, seeing it, but just the work that's around your house, probably from both of you, is just absolutely tremendous. And by the way, that teepee is not small by any means.
Oh, no, that's
Isn't
an
it dark
18-footer.
inside, though, or did you
What?
have all kinds of lighting in there?
No, well, here's the thing about a teepee. first of all, it's white canvas,
Oh,
and
it's
I
white.
use a hemp cotton canvas, and so you in the sunlight you get a beautiful, gentle, artistic light.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
easy to put a couple of spotlights up at night, shining up, and it just reflects around, lights the whole thing. She's had her blacksmith shop in there for like 28 years or something now. So sometimes tools get kind of dirty, but
Right. Right.
uh,
Right.
I'm sorry, we're off on a tangent here.
No, we love
But-
No,
tangents
no.
on this
But
show.
I love, and I have my own acquisition problems. But, I have a wife who has maybe 150 hammers.
Nice.
They're all different.
Yeah.
And I mean, she has hammers worth hundreds of dollars. She has multiple hammers that other master blacksmiths have handmade for her. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they're in their own world, man.
Bang Bang Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the Beatles song. You know what, though? I wish she was a cobbler, because cobbler is kind of a cool word. I mean, when I think of like the old times, like you look in these old Westerns and there's like, the blacksmith and there's the cobbler. And it's just like the blacksmith is a word you still hear sometimes, but no one says they're a cobbler anymore.
Now, if you were to say this to Heather, you would probably end up with your nuts on the anvil.
And that wouldn't be the first time for Tom either. He's had his
No,
nuts
actually,
on
I
the
pay
anvil.
to have that. I pay to have that done. It's a little fetish of mine, but that's a different story for a different episode.
Hey, just before you guys brought me on, you were saying something along the lines of that guy kind of thing, which I get a lot. Are you that guy? Or
Yeah.
And somehow it reminded me years ago. My agent at the time, Lou Ambrosio, was showing off a little bit while I'm in the office. He's on the phone to a casting director. He's trying to line me up a job while I'm in the office to, show his color. Well, the casting director has no clue who I am. And Lou said, oh, Troy, stocky guy, short hair, sounds like a man talking through a duck.
A man talking through a duck?
Yeah, that's my agent. and the beauty of it is it's actually a wonderful description. I can see somebody going, oh yeah, I know.
That's funny. Do you remember an agent named Jack Scagnetti?
No.
Does that name ring a bell? Oh, he
No.
was an agent that I had in LA, and a lot of people have heard of him because he was like this old guy. And I went to his office, and there was literally stacks of headshots and things like all over. It was the messiest office. It was in North Hollywood. And you would ask him for something, he'd go right over to some stack about, it's right around here, and he'd pull it right out.
Right, yeah.
But I
Like
kinda
a card
pictured-
trick.
Anyone who talks about an old agent, I always, picture Jack Scagnetti in this office. It's just like,
So now, just with this conversation, the algorithms are going to pick your name up and combine that with a duck that's talking. So whenever anybody Googles your name, there's going to be a picture of a duck that comes up.
the Aflac duck.
Right. Exactly. There you go. Maybe we'll get sponsored by Aflac now.
Thanks,
Troy
Troy,
Boyd.
for this help getting that sponsorship. We appreciate it. Well, I was looking at your IDMB just now. and,
IMDb.
IMDb.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that you haven't done anything since, Ballard. So do you just kind of, when you get a call, I mean, are you more retired and just kind of just enjoying not having to be on the set every day?
Here's the irony of life. I retired like 12, 13 years ago. I'm 77.
You're my mom's age.
So early, fuck you. No, early,
Well said.
in my early 60s, I'd done like 9 seasons of ER, and that was adequate. Not as a series regular, but as a recurring schmo at the front desk, and that was enough. The house was paid for, and work was slow, and I retired. and I thought I was done. And then 2 years later, uh, out of left field comes the Bosch job. And let me tell you, you both are well aware, I assume, there are some shitty stories in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
But here's a pretty good one. I came from Montana in 1976, and my life was a shambles. I was I won't tell you the whole story, but I'll give you a Cliff's Notes on. I was a fucked up Vietnam vet, recovering alcoholic, ex-convict, actor.
Oh my God, an actor.
Yeah, that's the worst of the group.
Now, do either of you know PCPA? Do you know what that is?
PCPA. No, it sounds
Well,
familiar. But why
2 hours north of LA is a little town of Santa Maria, and there's a junior college there called Allen Hancock College, and they had a theater started by a wonderful man named Donovan Marley, and they did a very ambitious summer season, 8 plays in rotating rep in 2 different theaters, 40 miles apart, one Santa Maria, one Solvang. So I mean, that was a crash course in the theater, man.
Yeah.
But it was at a junior college, not the place you go to fulfill your Hollywood dreams, or most people would. But that summer, Mark Harrier, right? He was a close friend of Bob's. Was he in the movie we did?
Wait, what's his name again?
Mark Harrier.
Mark
he was
Harrier.
in Porky's. He's one of the guys. Anyway,
The name's familiar. Yeah.
He was a college kid there, going to school in Oregon, and a friend of his, a college playwright, came down to see him in the plays, and I met him that summer. Little dweeb with his little leather case with his scripts in it, and his name was Eric Overmeyer. And then here, 40 years later, he called me. Yeah, Troy, it's Eric Overmeyer. I'm working on this project with Michael Connolly, and I think I got something in there for you. And that's where Crate and Barrel came from.
Wow.
From a guy, I'd met him 40 years before, and he'd seen me in 2 or 3 plays, and he remembered for 40.
Oh my God! Right.
Well, you
I
never
can't
know.
even believe you had your contact information to reach out to you.
Well, we moved in the same circles. You know how that works in the. I don't know if either of you have done like worked at a particular theater or something.
Yes.
But you develop as a matter of fact, just Sunday I had dinner with a group of people, mostly people I knew from PCPA 1976.
No kidding.
Right. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Pretty sweet, isn't it?
Yeah. So what was your first breakout role that you're like, okay, I'm an actor now. I'm a bankable actor.
Now, are you talking about in Los Angeles or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wherever.
After PCPA, and I actually did a bunch of play. I was there off and on for several years, like 76 into 1980. And then, but one of the things Donovan did was he brought in directors from the other regional theaters, from the Berkeley Rep, from the theaters in Seattle, from Actors Theater of Louisville, from Milwaukee Rep. And so then actors like me who are working in Santa Maria, then we get a call from Nagel Jackson in Milwaukee. We're doing All My Sons. You want to come to that? So I started working in the regional theater, and then I started living in LA, and I got as you were a different one, but entry-level agent. My entry-level agent was Dick Lovell. He had a little tiny office down on Highland. He had, and all of his clients were male character actors. That's what he went for. and I don't think he ever made a deal that was over scale. Scale testing. That was and a lot of parts casting directors would let him cast them.
Right.
Get a call
Wow.
about some guy. Yeah, Troy, Dick Lovell. Yeah, you're working on Days of Our Lives tomorrow. You're playing a cop. Be there at 6 a.m. Don't chew gum.
You go.
Okay.
Thanks for the direction. Right.
Yeah, thank you.
So I did and that got to be where I would get a job about every month.
Yeah.
Which was just enough.
Yeah.
Just
Especially
just enough now.
scale.
And now, very, very often,
Yeah.
it was like the third cop through the door. Hold
Right.
it. That's the part. Hold it.
Right. Yeah.
$222.
Yeah.
Enough to pay the rent. But I'll tell you, here's the breakthrough story. This is a one-day story, and things are so different now. John Hughes
Wow.
Oh
was
yeah.
putting together a movie called Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
One of my favorites.
and there's a little tiny part in there, Mr. Oshkonagan, the cheese truck driver, and he picks the two heroes up hitchhiking in a blizzard in his cheese truck.
That's right. I remember that well. Yeah.
So, today you don't like even now if I go up for a job, I don't meet the casting director.
Yeah.
They send me a thing and I read into my phone and I send it to them, and you don't meet anybody. But in this case, I had a one-on-one meeting with John Hughes
Wow.
to talk about Mr. Oshkonagan. And he explains to me, we don't have anything written here, but if you had something you want to say, maybe you could, you'd be picking him up. He explains the thing to me. And I remember, there's an old plumber's line. It may be shit to you, but it's bread and butter to me, pal. Right? So he said, so then he says, well, we could just improv it. Well, think of that, sitting at a table with the director doing an improv of a scene that's not written about the cheese, and
Yeah.
but that plumber's line came into my mind, and I said, all right, I'll let you guys ride in the back there, but you be careful. That might be cheese to you, but that's bread and butter to me, pal.
Wow.
John Hughes,
Great.
he thought that was the greatest thing he had ever heard. He loved that. So I get hired. And at that time, I can remember, scale was $222, and that's what I made. Well, I get a call, and we were in a $300 a month apartment in mid-Wilshire, and we didn't have our rent. And Dick Lovell called me and said, you got that movie, and they're going to pay you $1,000. Holy shit! One fucking day, $1,000. That's 3 months' rent. I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit! And then he calls me back like 2 days later. Yeah, so they decide to shoot that in upstate New York. What was the town? Some little town in upstate New York.
Yeah.
I said, well, how the fuck am I going to get to New York? I'll take my whole $1,000 to go to New York, Buffalo, New York. He said, no. They'll get you a ticket, and you get 2 travel days, and they'll pay you for the travel days. Well, how
You're
much
like,
do they
wait,
pay-
what?
How much do they pay me for the travel days? $1,000 a day. Now I'm making $3,000
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
for
amazing.
no scripted dialogue, right? And so I go down and I pack an overnight bag with a couple changes of underwear, go to Buffalo, New York, get in the hotel. Teamster comes to the door, hands me $150 in cash.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm supposed to be getting $1,000 a day. He says,
Oh,
not
interesting.
me.
Yeah.
He said, this is your per diem.
Yeah.
He said, my what? I'd never heard of per diem. I had no idea what per diem was. I said, what the f- is per diem. He said, that's your spending money. I get spending money? Oh my God. So I'm in Buffalo for 2 freaking weeks. Now I've made $14,000 plus almost $2,000 in spending money.
That's a lot of whores.
Like, yeah, it's like, holy shit. And then they call me down to the production office. So we're moving they're not going to shoot that here. We're moving the production to Chicago. So again, I think I'm off the movie. So I just go back to LA. No, you go with us. So I next thing I know, I'm in the Westin O'Hare in a suite with 3 televisions. Right? I'm there 2 weeks. St. Louis, Kansas City, Kankakee, Illinois, Woodstock, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, finally in Quail Hollow, they finally shot it. 51 fucking days on that movie.
What? Oh
when I left, we didn't have our rent money, and I came home and we bought our first house.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
That is a great story.
And in the interim, I've never made that much money on any other movie. That was
well, is it
residuals?
I get a lot of residuals because
that's based on how many days you're on the show.
They're based on the dollar amount,
right? Yeah. So you were on there for 51, whatever it was.
And that's become a Hollywood, like now it's almost Thanksgiving. They'll start playing Planes, Trains, and Automobiles again.
Yeah.
And, so I probably get $2,000 a year in residuals on Planes, Trains.
Still, wow.
Right.
I have a question. Did they use that line about it? This might be cheese to you, but it's bread.
Well, yes, but lots of times when it plays, they play it on television stuff. That scene isn't even in there.
Oh.
They cut that scene out.
Yeah,
I'm not offended. Just
right. Just send me my check.
But they did use your line. Did they write that into?
Oh yeah. And let me tell you, I'm about halfway through. This one I was in St. Louis, and it's in the evening. And I've settled into this routine. I'm in my underwear. I'm sitting on the bed, eating my room service, watching the evening news. And the
visual. My God.
The front desk, Mr. Evans, says, your driver's here. I said, my driver?
I have a driver?
Yeah. I said, well, could I speak to him? Sure. And they put him on. I said, you're my driver? He said, yeah. I said, where am I going? He said, well, you're going to the airport and then you're going to Quail Hollow, Ohio. I said, when? He said, now. So I put my pants on, go down, because somehow everything had shifted. They had decided they had to have snow for this. Well, it hadn't shifted. They were holding out for snow. And it's snowing like hell in Quail Hollow.
Right.
So they fly me up. There's a whole thing. I get up to Quail Hollow, and it's at a golf resort that's closed down for the winter. And they've got the second unit crew up there, and they've got the truck. And I get up the next morning, and they work for hours. The second unit director, he was getting the camera just right on the side of the truck, and had all this stuff they're going to have. They've got the highway closed down. They've got 8 inches of snow. It's snowing. It's beautiful. It's fabulous. We get ready to go. And this wasn't to shoot the scene because they didn't have the 2 heroes there, Candy and Martin. Just me driving the truck, Mr. Oshkosh. Yeah. Right? And so they called me out and they said, where's your wardrobe? I said, well, I don't know. Where's the wardrobe department? They said, you didn't bring your wardrobe with you? I said, no, I've never seen my wardrobe. How would I? They said, well, it turns out my wardrobe was a red plaid shirt. And I was wearing, something like this that no truck driver would ever wear, like just a shirt, And I have to point out, from where the truck was sitting, across the highway, you could see a Kmart
I know where this is going.
where I think you could get a red plaid shirt. But so they called around. They come to me. Takes about an hour. Everybody's running around. They say, we're going to fly your shirt up from St. Louis. We'll do this tomorrow. Sun comes out. All the snow melts. And
No.
I'm on the movie another fucking month.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's great. You're
That
like,
is-
yes, I got to forget my wardrobe more often.
So were you on the set every day kind of watching them, or were you just back at your hotel?
I was staying as invisible as possible. And in fact, there was did you ever know Neil Mockless?
No.
Neil Mockless was a producer, a real producer.
A real one.
And, and I, first of all, of my first few weeks on the movie, I felt guilty.
Right.
I felt like a shoplifter, but then I talked to a lot of other actors and stuff and found out that they could convert that amount to a weekly contract, which would, because I was way past, they'd hired me for a day. Now I'd been there, 30 days or some freaking thing, and they could convert me to a $2,500 a week contract. So I assumed sooner or later that they were going to figure that out, and that was going to happen. So I was just staying out of sight as much as possible. So then I'm walking down the hallway. This is when I was still in St. Louis, in the hotel, and I walk past this guy, and it's Neil Mockless, and I get like 8 or 10 feet past him, and he turned around and said, "Excuse me," he said, "Are you Troy Evans?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, I'm Neil Mockless, the line producer." I said, "Hi, Neil, nice to meet you." He said, "Troy, are you on a daily or a weekly?" And I said, "Oh, I'm on a daily, Neil." And he said, "Oh,
We're going to change that.
Get you converted to a weekly." And I thought I was making a joke. I said, "Neil, don't even mention that. Don't even bring it up." And he said, "Oh, no, I guess that wouldn't be right." So I made like an extra 20 grand just by being a fucking
Instead of
wise.
$5,000. Man, that is the coolest story. I mean,
Yeah.
Now let me tell you one other really cool planes, trains, and automobile story.
Please.
While I'm in that hotel in Chicago, so this is fairly early on in the thing, and it was the night of the Oscars, and my phone rings. I answer the phone, and the voice is, I said, "Hello," and the voice said, "Troy Evans?" I said, "This is Troy." He said, "Troy, this is John Candy." He said,
No.
"I'm having a few people over to watch the Oscars and wonder if you'd like to join us." Now, I'd never met John Candy, right?
Right.
And of course, he has the presidential suite in the hotel. But I was so excited. I had all these fantasies. I'll meet Neil Mockless. I'll meet, hang out with, be part of the group. So I had hardly any clothes, but I put on the best clothes I had and went up.
Took your red shirt on. That's it.
Yeah, Steve Martin wasn't there. None of the producers were there. The director wasn't there. Nobody. You know who was there?
Who's that? John.
Every person on the movie who was like me, who was nobody.
Oh, I love that.
Sweet.
Who he invited.
That feels like what I would think John Candy would be like.
Yeah. And, I had more money than I had ever had in my life.
Just the per diem alone. The per diem alone.
They gave me, so,
cash in there.
And, John Candy had a huge, there were like 10 people there, and he had a huge amount of room service brought up. So when the Oscars were over and we're leaving, and I went over and tried to slip him $200 to contribute, and John Candy said, "Troy, that's been taken care of." That's
nice.
been taken care of.
Right. Well, good for you for making that gesture too.
Yeah.
That's just kind of like what you
Uh,
do.
yeah.
Wow. Was
Troy,
the,
I love that.
I'm curious about this watching party though. Now that we're talking, because I'm a big John Candy fan as well. But was he like, talking with everybody, or was he just kind of
Oh
like?
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was just like
just like-
hanging out with friends.
Yeah. Just like if we just came over to your house tonight, we're just watching TV, totally down to earth and friendly.
Wow. Funny.
And prior to this movie, were you already SAG or?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your first, I was seeing something. Your first thing you did was it Ed? That first show that you ever did. It was
I forget the name of that show, and I got murdered right in my first.
Here I'm
first scene.
scrolling back down to it. Lou Grant.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do have 2 degrees of separation. You were on The Practice, I saw, and I don't know if you remember Michael Buttalucco.
I do not.
Yeah, he was. He's was up for an Emmy as a supporting actor, but he was on that show, and it was kind of cool. Caprita, who is my best friend, who was on one of our earlier episodes, he's also a character actor like yourself. One of the guys that gets killed in every episode. It seems like. But obviously, he hasn't had a regular roles like you have. But probably back when when you were just doing mostly character work. But anyway, he had this old Volvo that was a friend of his who was parked in this garage of where we lived in Sherman Oaks, and it had just been sitting there. And this woman, I guess, went back to New York and she died. We had this Volvo sitting there. And all of a sudden, I get a phone call, and this is Michael Buttalucco, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to pick up the Volvo." I'm like, "Okay." So he met me, and I was doing some job in like Beverly Hills, and then we drove over the hill together. He stayed for like 2 hours. Turns out, like his first gig ever was what's that De Niro movie where he's a boxer, the early
Raging
one.
Bull.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was like the hot dog guy vendor, and Raging Bull was like his first thing he ever did. But you look at his list, he played a lot of famous, a lot of famous people. That one about the killer in New York who was the serial killer, and they made a movie about it, and he played the
like
serial
Night Stalker or something.
Yeah, somebody, and he was the guy. He was the.
So
but he got on the Practice, and then I said you were on the Practice. So if you had met him, then we would have only been 1 degree, 2 degrees of separation. But now we're 1 degree, so I guess it's better.
Yeah.
Well, way to go for a one-liner.
I remember coming over to your house when we were location scouting for that movie. I'll Remember April.
Yes.
Which was a cute little movie. Haley Joel Osment, yourself, Mark Harmon, Pam Dauber, and Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, we came over to your house because we're using your house actually as a location. I don't know if you offered it up or if Bob convinced you or what, but because it was a period setting, and you have some great period pieces in your house, in the kitchen, and I just remember the old refrigerator, and just absolutely gorgeous. But I remember walking in, and you were so familiar to me with your face, and I'm like, I thought that we had known each other forever, and we had worked on it, but it was the first time I had met you, and Bob was like, "Oh, Troy." I'm like, "Of course, yeah." No, I don't know you. I know you, but you don't know me.
Right.
Of course. See, now I'm at that stage where it's I am so bad. I mean, I don't remember names, and I honestly don't know if I know people or not. At least half the time. It's right. So we could have had the whole thing going where just in opposite, where we actually were longtime friends, and I thought we just met.
I'll have to try that next time with someone.
Oh, you know what? I'll tell you a funny. Dick Van Patten. I'm sure you know who he is.
Yeah.
But anyway, my friend was in this movie where Dick Van Patten was in it. He played like the principal. It's called Demolition High School, and it was with Corey Haim. And my friend played one of the teenage kids, and he took me to the premiere, and I see Dick Van Patten walking through the parking lot. So I'm like, Dick, and he's like, hey, good to see you. And I'm like, good to see you. I'm like, how's the wife? And oh, she's great. I'm like, I'll have my agent call you. We'll do lunch soon. He goes, sounds good. Like he had no idea who I was, but he thought that he should know me. So he just played along with it.
Well, I knew Dick really well from Dom.
Oh,
Dom
that's
Phillips.
right.
Yeah, because I used to hang out with Dom a lot. He was a good friend.
Oh, funny.
Dick was always there, and he was just the sweetest guy. And
Oh,
just,
he was.
yeah.
Like he didn't want to offend me. That's how he is. But probably when you called up Troy to be on the podcast, he's like, Darren, who? No, I do not know this guy. Sure, buddy. Sure, I'd love to be on.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, this just reminds me of a random thing I remembered the other day. I did a movie years ago in Kansas City, Article 99. Do you know that movie?
Yeah, I know of it. Yeah, it's. I think it's been a minute. Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland, Ray Liotta, Forrest Whitaker, Eli Wallach.
Right.
What a cast.
Oh yeah, but what I was just reminded of now is like a year or so after that, over on the Fox lot, I ran into Kiefer.
Yeah.
Who I'm pretty sure didn't remember me. He certainly didn't remember my name. But people have, you know, like my usual go-to is, hey, old buddy, hey, pal. Hey there. You know, I see Kiefer, he says, hi, Kiefer. He says, how you doing, you fucking old cumma?
Was he doing 24 or something then?
I don't even know. I think this was even before that.
Oh,
but wow. I always thought it was because, you know,
that's amazing.
I saw him one time in Kansas City, and I went to a mall there for some reason, and Kiefer came in, and Kiefer and I ran into each other, and we're talking, and then people saw Kiefer, and these teenagers flocked over around Kiefer Sutherland, and this was so fucking smooth. They're just frantic. They gather around. And he picks this guy right in the front. He says, hey, where's the shoe locker? Guy says, right down here. And you take a left. Thanks. And Kiefer's gone. It was so smooth.
Yeah.
Hey, where's the foot locker?
That is great.
That is great.
You know, I spend about 90% of my time now in Kansas City. My better half lives there, and I'm gradually making my way there. Maybe you'll have to get the gang back and try to bring some production back to Kansas City.
Or else meet at the Foot Locker.
What's the name of that kind of upscale dining area, shopping area in Kansas City?
Oh, the Plaza?
The Plaza.
Yeah.
Now, do you know that the area around UCLA in Westwood was designed based on the Plaza?
Really? That makes sense.
Yes.
Now that you say that, I can kind of envision that.
Yeah, that at that time the Plaza was the center of America.
Yeah.
That was the classiest shopping and dining place in the United States, and they copied it in Westwood.
Well, it's struggling now a bit, but I understand I don't know anything about the people behind it, but I understand there's some various groups that are behind trying to revamp it and bring some better shops and get some good foot traffic there. But maybe they could take a lesson from what's going on in Westwood and, you know, and redesign it to look like that and get some inspiration from their inspiration.
Well, yeah, you know, Westwood's struggling too.
Oh, is it?
Sort of, yeah, you know, kind of. I think COVID just taught everything and everybody.
Yeah.
And Amazon didn't help either.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I want to tell a quick story about Westwood area. I used to live in Westwood years ago, probably before you and I met, Troy. It was, I think, like, I don't know, early to mid 90s or something. But anyway, I was over at, I can't remember the dates, but anyway, I was over at the Westwood Ho. Do you remember that place?
No.
That's it was like right off of like Massachusetts and Westwood. It was a little, like a King Super type store that was there. I don't know what it's called now, if it's there, probably not. But anyway, I was checking out, and this woman was right in line with me, and she had blonde hair. I'm saying blonde hair for a particular reason because her hair is not typically blonde. But anyway, we're kind of giving each other a look like, do I know you? Do I know you? And finally, I was like, do I know you? And she's like, yeah, you look familiar. Did we work on something together? It's like, maybe. Like, are you a costume designer? She's like, were you on Speed? And I was like, oh my God, you're Sandra Bullock. You just have blonde hair. You're famous. No, you would never work on any of the movies that I worked on. That was.
Were you on Speed?
And who was the person?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. Oh,
you should have said, no, I'm not on Speed, but if you have it, give me some of the parking lot.
Like, no, you're famous. No, that's how I recognize you. Same thing as like when I recognize you, Troy. It's just the familiar face, but maybe she was doing a screen test and had her hair blonde for some reason. I don't know, but anyway, it was just taken out of context, and the situation was out of context, and I just didn't recognize her, but it was funny.
I wish you were my uncle or something, man. You would be like the coolest uncle to have.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Oh, you're talking to Troy.
No, I'm not talking to you, Darren.
Yeah, you're a cousin. You're his cousin. I'm the uncle. You're the cousin.
There you go. No, but you just
I'm the fucking old gummer.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're funny and you don't take yourself too seriously. You're a fantastic actor, and your stories. I mean, I could just sit there and and hear your stories and laugh and talk shit just like we're doing now. But I would be like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. Is Uncle Troy going to be there? It's like
this in my head. Several things in this conversation kind of remind me of this. Being nothing can really prepare you for when you start being pretty darn close to 80, and we've all observed this thing for instance, we've all known guys with spots all over their arms, and and they're on 15 different medications, and every week they got to go to the doctor. Every 3 weeks there's some new thing and all that. But and that's just of course it happens. But then when you realize, no, this isn't some other guy. This is me.
Right.
I'm the guy with I call it OMA, old man's arm. I hit the toilet paper roll and it puts a big old bruise.
I've noticed that too. As I get older, my skin's getting thinner, and every time I bump into this, I'm like, that's going to leave a bruise. Guaranteed tomorrow it's going to be a huge spot of. I'm 55 and I'm noticing, my thinner skin.
Well, it doesn't get better.
I know it doesn't.
But this is where I'm going with this. So about 1980, with all the theater that I was doing, have either one of you been in Actors Equity, the Stage Actors Union?
No, but my best friend Capri does, still gets.
So I got into Actors Equity, which was great.
Yeah.
Because it allowed me to work at a lot of theaters. I could also got me on a health plan. Also, once you're in that union, then you can just join Screen Actors Guild.
Okay.
You don't have to get a job. You can just join because you're in the union. And I got on the health plan.
Yeah.
Now, and at that time in LA, I don't know if this was nationwide, but in LA, when you got on the health plan, they sent you to a place called the Life Extension Institute. And they did not just a complete physical, but a complete psychological workup. And so they knew all the stuff I've already mentioned to you, that I was Vietnam vet, recovering alcoholic, ex-convict, actor. I mean, and a lot of health problems, a lot of injuries from a chaotic lifestyle. And then they give you a document that's a map to a long, healthy life. And they gave me a thing that said if I ate right, got plenty of sleep, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't take drugs, exercise, took care of myself, that I could expect to live to be 35.
Wow, 35.
I was 30 at the time. Thank you for a vote of confidence. But I'm sure they had a a schedule.
A chart,
as
yeah.
convict,
Yeah.
take off 20.
Yeah.
Right.
Recovering alcoholic, take off 20.
That's so funny.
But if
Now,
you don't do those things, you're fucked and you're dying tomorrow.
Yeah.
you know, before we wrap things up, and we don't want to, but I mean, this convict thing, now you got me curious. 'cause
And
you seem
Vietnam.
you're such a nice guy. I mean, would you hold up a liquor store? Did you, I mean, or did you
Well,
not
a
wanna
lot of
talk
stuff.
about it?
The one I when I came back from Vietnam, I planned on being a lawyer and politician, but when I got back from Vietnam, I was quite a different person, and I didn't realize how different I was. I mean, I was actually probably certifiable at that point.
Yeah.
Instead of going back to college, I opened a bar because they were dropping the drinking age from 21 to 18. So in Northwest Montana, I opened a bar, a rock and roll bar. It would be the only rock and roll bar for a 100-mile radius, specifically to cater to that young crowd with rock and roll. And it was called the Powder Keg.
Oh my God.
And it was, I mean, it was a bar full of young Montanans, and then the guy run. I mean, I did stuff.
Yeah.
It's just one example. I'd been up to this table. It's Friday night. People had this key table. It was up on a raised platform where they could see the whole bar and the band and everything. And they had the family, and they start arguing. They're breaking glasses and cursing at each other. And I took them up a pitcher of beer and said, "Listen, it's Friday night. We're gonna have a lot of people in here. Let's just have a good time. I'll buy you a pitcher of beer." And yeah, well, okay, yeah, Troy, we're sorry. We're gonna. I walk back down, walk around. By the time I get around the bar, I hear the glasses breaking again, and they're motherfucking each other. So I didn't feel like walking all the way up there again. So I just reached under the cash register and got my 9mm and just put 9 rounds in the wall and ceiling in their general area.
The cops didn't like that, did they?
Yeah.
Oh no! Nobody called the police on that.
Oh, I thought that was why you're the ex-con.
No, but that was then. But then I had a lot of altercations. The one where, and I would, the justice of the peace, Orville Fredenberg, had been my boxing coach when I was a kid. So I'd go over and he'd give me a stern lecture and he'd fine me $75 and I'd go back. And then this guy, I see him over the bar, grab this woman who is someone I knew, grab her ass. And the husband objected and the guy slapped the husband. And I can remember this day, I had a very specific response when I saw that happen. My response was, far out. And I went over to the bar and got a hold of that guy and broke both his legs.
Wow.
And some other injuries and hauled him up and threw him out in the street. Well, he was a lawyer.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But when you're a lawyer, the guy who broke his legs doesn't get off with a $75 fine.
Yeah.
God.
God.
This is like a 4-hour story, but and there were a bunch of, it was a whole, I was basically drunk for 3 years or so. And anyway, I that's when I committed myself to the Veterans Hospital down in Wyoming to go through the alcohol program. To give you an idea, oh man, I took my thought was, by going to the 90-day alcohol program, it would make the point that I was a veteran. We don't have to go in and say that flag waves itself then, right?
Yeah.
And I'm obviously trying to control my drinking. I'm going to this program and, and so my lawyer says, well, Troy, are you an alcoholic? I said, no, I'm not an alcoholic, but that's the beauty of it. See, since I drink like a fifth and a half a day, I think I can make them think I am. So,
oh my
I mean,
God.
So I went through that 90-day program, which actually was incredibly helpful, and then came back and made a deal with the prosecuting attorney to plead guilty and get a 6-year suspended sentence. And then I went into court Monday morning, and the judge gave me 40 years.
What?
Judge's name was W.W. Leslie, right? And when he gave me the 40 years, I turned to my lawyer. I said, 40 years? What in the hell are we going to do? And the judge, my attorney said, oh, I don't know, Troy. He said, I have to move my office this afternoon, but best of luck to you, son. And he's gone. Now, the prosecutor is up arguing on my behalf.
Really?
Right? And the judge, who was like about 80 at the time, and prosecutor said we had a deal with it, and the judge said, well, he used a gun and he's a bad guy. We need to get him, and he said, no, there was no gun in this case, Your Honor, and we have a plea bargain with him. He said, well, what was the sentence supposed to be? He said, 6 years suspended. Now they've got me all handcuffed and chained up, and they're dragging me out. He said, well, bring it back. I'm modifying the sentence. So they dragged me back up in front of me. So I'm modifying the sentence of defendant Troy Evans. Troy Evans, I sentence you to 40 years hard labor plus 6 years suspended. So now I have.
You're like, no, wait.
Now I have 46.
It's getting worse.
This next part of this, I didn't know this for 20, 25 years. I think my family thought if I found this out, it would cause me some sort of horrible upset or something. But it turns out that this judge, W.W. Leslie, in Butte, Montana, had run for office 3 times in the 1940s and 1950s. And all 3 times, he was beaten by the same guy.
Wow.
Troy Evans.
Oh, no.
My grandfather.
No.
Wow.
So that was revenge.
Revenge. He may have thought it was the same guy.
Yeah. I'll show you.
But now here's where it gets interesting. So I get down to Montana State Prison, and I'm working on a hog farm down there. But the parole officer at the prison took an interest in my case, and there's a sentencing commission in Montana. And so it took 2 years, or close to 2 years, for this to work through. But he made sure that the sentencing commission got this and reviewed it and saw that it wasn't really an appropriate sentence.
Yeah.
And they reversed it. And I've always thought that was so nice of that guy. I'm not sure why he took such an interest in that. He was my brother.
It was your brother?
It was my fucking brother.
Oh,
Now you look at that. Both sides of this case, personal. This is a low population state.
yeah. Wow. It makes you wonder, though, like those people that don't have brothers, or people that take interest, or people that
they stay in prison.
Prosecuting attorneys there.
So you would have been in there for 40 years minus 6?
No, plus 6.
Plus 6.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he added the 6 on.
But you did about 2 years
served.
then?
Yeah.
About 2. And now, here's the real irony. I didn't used to think this, but now it's very clear to me. I haven't had a drink for like 52 years now, right? And I was pretty sure after I got out of that alcohol program that I was an alcoholic and I shouldn't drink. But I'm sure if he had given me the suspended sentence, I mean, it might have taken 3 months or 3 years or 5 years, but at some point I would have said, well, I can have a beer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at Bob's wedding, for Christ's sake, and then I'm back on the water slide, and he saved my life.
Yeah.
Because if you duct taped a shotgun to the side of my head, you couldn't get me to take a drink. And I don't really miss it,
So,
But
Troy, on a similar story, actually, I'm working on this documentary right now. I can't go into great detail on it, but our main character, who's a pretty well-known artist, he had a
Musician.
heroin addiction and almost died multiple times. You couldn't go through like the normal public system because it was like 3 days and then you're out, and that's when you need the help the most. So he actually asked his dad if he would help him get arrested so that he would be in jail long enough to be able to recover from this addiction. So he purposely went to jail to save his own life. Like, who chooses jail, over something, like thinking that that's the better choice?
Then the Betty Ford Clinic or something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but that costs money. You have to have
Right.
money to be able to have that. So
Right.
not everyone is privileged enough to have that opportunity.
I've got
Thank goodness like that exists, but it's not for everyone.
Absolutely. That's, I mean, the level of privilege. I was wanking earlier about I have to take a bunch of different medications.
Yeah.
Well, I need medications and I can get them.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't have to sit around going, well, I don't know what to,
Yeah.
maybe I have to not pay the power bill or,
Right.
Yeah.
I
Is your
just,
Social Security check going to cover everything this month? Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that don't have that choice. They don't have that opportunity. So they go without something.
Right.
Medication,
yeah.
food, paying rent. That's why people can become homeless just like that, or lose everything that they own, or get into great debt, or not take their medicine.
And then you have people like Elon Musk. Elon Musk, he could spend $1 million a day forever.
Yeah.
And the money he already has would generate more money than that. He would still get richer every fucking day.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we have about half the population in this country who can't afford.
Right.
Yeah. Here's a statistic for you. Average household wealth in the United States is about $75,000 net worth, about 75,000.
Yeah.
If you slice off the top 1,000 people, it goes to 35,000.
Wow.
Right.
In other
That's
words,
crazy.
1,000 people have more than half the money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing.
Something's not right there.
No.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, I've got a home showing, so I can afford to move to Bloomington, and it's coming up. So I gotta wrap things up. But man, we would love to have you back sometime, dude. You could your storytelling is right there, man. Love it.
Oh, thanks. Really, I don't really think of myself as an actor anymore. I think of myself as a storyteller, and that acting has sort of been my straight job to allow me to just run my gums when I get a chance, So.
We should write a screenplay, and Darren can produce it, and I can do the voiceover for the trailer.
It's a running joke. Every time we talk about work, Tom solicits himself for voiceover work.
Hey, you got to be a hustler, man.
You got to be. Exactly. No one else is going to.
Can you sound like a man talking through a duck?
I don't know if I can do that, but I think you got that covered.
That's
Troy,
awesome.
man, this has been a pleasure, a wonderful. You're my favorite
Such a
guest
treat.
so far, and I've had my mom on here, so there you go.
Such a treat. My grandfather used to say a thing I just love. He would say, "The pleasure was half mine."
I like that. It was half mine.
Well, it was all of ours for sure.
For
And
sure.
I hope we can do this again. There's so much more that we could cover. Troy, thank you again.
Yeah, I'd love to do it another time.
Yeah, we'd love to have
That
you
would
back.
be great.
I'll
All right.
be-
Thanks again, Troy. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Troy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Tom,
Wow.
buddy,
Dude,
isn't he so cool?
so cool, man. And the thing is, he's like one of my favorite actors. You know what I'm saying? So
I know.
it's like I know who he is.
That's
you know,
the thing.
and
He doesn't have to do
No.
this. Everybody that we've had on the show, they don't have to do this. They've got nothing to promote, nothing to prove. It's just
Right.
because they're kind enough to be able to come on, shoot the shit a little bit. And this is my favorite thing to do. Of all my jobs, this pays the least, zero, but it's the most fun that I have because we get to talk to people like Troy.
The most fun I've had it since our last episode. So I mean, I've just been sitting here doing nothing, just twiddling my thumbs. Hopefully something good will happen. Oh, we got a podcast to record. Yes.
I know.
All
well,
right, buddy.
It's been great.
Absolutely.
Love you so much. And
too,
we'll
buddy.
catch up soon. We got a lot of Indiana stuff to talk about.
We do. So until then, later dude.
Common D.
Two middle-aged idiots.
This podcast is produced by 224 Media with voice and audio support by Fry on the Fly Productions.